Researchers just reviewed 270 different associations between blood type and disease, put each one through a series of rigorous statistical tests, and came out the other side with exactly one finding strong enough to hold up under scrutiny. Just one, out of 270. And that finding is this: people with blood type B, whether positive or negative, carry a measurably higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to people with any other blood type. Today, I want to walk you through exactly what the research found, how the study was designed, what the 28% figure actually means for your real-world risk, and why the researchers are careful to put this finding in its proper context alongside the lifestyle factors that matter far more. Before I get into the findings, let me explain what kind of research this was, because understanding the methodology is what makes this finding credible in a way that most individual studies are not. The research was published in the journal BMC Medicine and was led by epidemiologist Fanghua Liu from Shengjing Hospital of China Medical University. It was what is called an umbrella review, which is the highest level of evidence synthesis available in research. An individual study is like looking at a single tree. A systematic review, which collects and analyzes multiple individual studies together, is like stepping back to look at a small forest. An umbrella review compiles multiple systematic reviews together, giving you a view from above over an entire landscape of research. The team searched PubMed, Web of Science, Embase, Scopus, the Cochrane Library, and several regional databases, covering all published work from inception through February of 2024, identifying 51 systematic reviews with meta-analyses that evaluated the connection between blood groups and health outcomes across 270 different associations. That scope matters because it means this was not a study designed to find a connection between blood type B and diabetes. It was a study designed to systematically evaluate whether any connections between blood type and disease could withstand rigorous scrutiny. The researchers put each of the 270 reported associations through a series of statistical stress tests specifically designed to weed out weak, unreliable, or biased findings. They examined the strength of the evidence, whether results were consistent across different studies, and whether the datasets involved were large enough to be trustworthy. They checked for signs of bias, including small studies exaggerating effects and an unusually high proportion of positive results. And crucially, they asked whether each association was likely to hold up if tested again in future research. Most of the 270 associations did not pass these checks. The vast majority of reported links between blood type and various diseases, when subjected to this level of rigorous analysis, turned out to be weak, inconsistent, or unreliable. Only one association met the highest standard of evidence: blood type B and type 2 diabetes risk. That is a remarkable level of filtering, and it is why this particular finding deserves attention in a way that many blood type and health claims do not. So what exactly did the data show? People with blood type B, either B positive or B negative, had approximately 28% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to people with non-B blood types. That is the number that is circulating everywhere right now, and it needs context immediately because 28% sounds alarming until you put it next to the other risk factors we know about for this disease. Eating just 50 grams of processed meat per day increases the risk of type 2 diabetes by 37%. That is more than blood type B. A sedentary lifestyle increases the risk by 112%. Being overweight is one of the strongest risk factors currently known, with effects that dwarf the blood type finding entirely. So blood type B is a real association, one that passed the most stringent statistical filters available, but it sits well below diet, physical activity, and body weight in terms of how much it actually moves your individual risk. The researchers themselves describe it as relatively small, significant enough to be worth knowing about, but not large enough to define your diabetes outlook on its own. Now, let me explain the biological background here, because understanding what blood type actually is helps you understand why it might plausibly affect disease risk at all. Blood type is determined by the ABO system, which classifies blood based on the presence or absence of specific sugar molecules called antigens on the surface of red blood cells. Type A blood has A antigens. Type B blood has B antigens. Type AB blood has both. Type O blood has neither. The rhesus factor, which gives blood its positive or negative designation, is a separate protein on the red blood cell surface that determines blood compatibility. Previous research has suggested that these subtle differences in the surface of red blood cells may be linked to increased vulnerability to certain diseases, though the mechanisms are not always clear. What drives the specific connection between blood type B and type 2 diabetes is not yet understood. The researchers in this umbrella review did not investigate the mechanism, only the association. A separate study from 2025 suggests the gut microbiome may be involved, noting that blood type influences the microbial composition of the gut, which in turn plays a role in metabolic processes related to blood sugar regulation and insulin sensitivity. But that is still preliminary, and further investigation is needed before any firm conclusions can be drawn about the pathway connecting blood type B to diabetes risk. What the umbrella review does establish firmly is that the association is real. It is not an artifact of poorly designed research or small sample sizes. It is not a result that disappeared when subjected to rigorous statistical testing. It survived scrutiny that eliminated 269 other proposed links between blood type and disease. That makes it a genuine finding, not a speculation. The broader takeaway the researchers draw from this work is also worth noting. The study highlights significant weaknesses in existing research on blood type and health outcomes. Many of the 270 associations they reviewed had been published in medical literature and discussed as if they were meaningful, but when subjected to the level of scrutiny applied in this umbrella review, they fell apart. The researchers conclude that more rigorous, better designed work is still needed to understand how blood type relates to disease across the full landscape of human health. This finding on type 2 diabetes is one of the very few that has cleared that bar so far. So what does this mean practically for someone with blood type B? The honest answer is that it means you should be aware of this elevated risk and factor it into how you think about the lifestyle choices most strongly associated with type 2 diabetes. Diet quality matters enormously. Reducing processed meat, increasing fiber, maintaining stable blood sugar through whole food sources, and keeping physical activity levels high are all significantly more powerful determinants of your diabetes risk than your blood type. A person with blood type B who eats well, moves regularly, and maintains a healthy body weight has a dramatically lower diabetes risk than a person with blood type O who does none of those things. Blood type is a risk modifier, not a destiny. What this finding does do is give people with blood type B a reason to be particularly vigilant, rather than casual about the lifestyle factors they can control. If you already have other risk factors for type 2 diabetes, family history, higher body weight, a diet high in processed food, or a sedentary lifestyle, knowing that your blood type adds approximately 28% to the baseline gives you an additional reason to take those modifiable factors seriously. It is information, and used correctly, information is useful. The research was published in BMC Medicine. If this kind of science interests you, the kind that cuts through 270 claims to find the one that actually holds up under scrutiny, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week I cover research like this with the context and the honest framing it deserves. Share this video with someone who has blood type B and has been hearing headlines about this finding without the full picture of what it actually means.